Okay, so let's go ahead and do the overview of the honey stick filler. So here it is. Basically, you have four cables you have to plug in. First one's this little USB, goes right to the monitor. This next one's your foot pedal, so you got a foot pedal down there. Then you have your Z limit and X limit, works kind of just like the matrix fillers. Basically, the X limit is this wire here that connects on the frame. Then you have your Z-axis, which is this guy here. So those wires just connect in there. You also have a power cable. It takes 110 power. Just go ahead and plug that in. Also plug the screen in. And actually, last wire would be the Ethernet or COM port cable. It just comes right from the cabinet straight to this little monitor here. When all that's set up, go ahead and turn your key switch on. You do have an e-stop up here. You could go ahead and push that to kill all power. We're going to go ahead and leave that on. Make sure you have a green light on your cabinet, and then go ahead and this top button up here, go ahead and hold it down. And you should see some lights start to come on. And we'll wait for it to boot up here. And then sometimes it does take a second to connect just because it is on a network base, or not really a network, but it's a direct connect network from this monitor to that screen. So it might say this site can't be reached for a second. Just give it a second for everything to boot up in the cabinet. Then it should just boot right into the user interface. Okay, from here you're going to have an alarm up there. What you want to do is just go ahead and hit reset. And you're going to see some stuff over here. Then you want to go ahead and click home. That's going to go ahead and bring that axis up to the limit switch to get its location. Okay, from here, let's go ahead and load our demo program here. I'm going to go ahead and click open. And you're going to have a program that's going to say demo or G-code, something like that. Go ahead and open that up. That's going to populate a whole bunch of variables up here. We'll kind of go through those variables now. So you have a fill volume. We have 5 boxes here for 5 different pumps. We're just using a 1 pump now, so our fill volume is at 7.5. That's how long basically the pump's going to run. It's scaled for water, however, with a 1/4-inch tubing. However, tubing changes, stuff like that. So as soon as you lock in that number, it's going to repeat that every time. Then you have a reverse fill. Now reverse fill kind of is a nice option to have on these honey sticks, because what it does is after each fill, it's going to suck back some of the honey. So it's going to actually suck back to stop any dripping. And then the other thing it's going to do on that reverse fill, since it did do it at the end, is it's going to also forward fill before it actually does its volume fill, so you don't have any air pockets. So you won't have any air pockets down here. Next, you have fill speed. What that is how quick the pump's going to run. Then you have a travel feed rate. That's basically the feed rate of the system when it's not filling. Just keep that at 5,000. Next, you have nozzle down distance. So nozzle down distance is how far the nozzle is going to travel before it starts filling. And we'll kind of dive into that here in a second. Then you have nozzle up clearance. That's basically when it's done filling, it's going to kind of shoot up a little bit to get the nozzle out of the honey a little bit. Okay, to get started, to make sure we're good, I'm going to go ahead and click this go to start location. That's going to just drop my nozzle down a little bit because I already have it preset. And we kind of like it right there. That way it'll kind of hold the honey stick and everything's good to go. Now say I wanted to change that location a little bit. I could go down to everything below these buttons, so I have a feed rate down here. I'm going to go ahead and click 1000, and I'm just going to put a distance of 1. And then I have this Z minus button. What I'm going to do is drop that nozzle down just a little bit more if I wanted to. So we're going to go to right there. Then what I'm going to do is go down to this configure start location. And I'm going to set this to 1 and hit set. And what that's going to do is just, now my new start location's there. So if I go to reset and home it like we did in the very beginning, It's going to bring my nozzle all the way up. And then I'm going to hit this go to start location, and now it's going to go down, and you're going to see it's going to go to where I configured it at. And I don't really like it here, so I'm going to switch it back up a little bit just because that's pretty far down in there. So I'm just going to bring back up my nozzle because I kind of like it there. And I'm just going to hit this configure start location button again. You could save up to 6 of them. For this program, it is just using G54.1. This green one down here actually saves with the programs and tells the program which one to use. So it was actually set at 1 or G54. So that's how it knew to go to that. If you have any questions on that, let us know. Okay, from there we could prime the pump, which means we can suck fluid up and into the nozzle, which I've already done, but I'll kind of show you how to do that. So you could select your pump here. We're going to use pump A. I'm going to put a feed rate in here of 500. And you could put any distance you want in here. I'm just going to keep it at 1 since I already primed this guy. But if I hit this P plus button, what it's going to do is throw fluid out the nozzle, and you just don't want any air in the nozzle, anything like that, okay? You just want it nice and primed and good to go. Okay, once you have fluid going out of the nozzle, we're pretty much set to run. You might have to change your fill volumes a little bit, and actually we'll kind of play with that now. First thing we'll do is underfill. So my fill volume, we're just using water, so it's going to be a little bit more liquidy than like your honey and stuff. But I'm going to put my fill volume to 4. And I'm going to go ahead and hit cycle start. And what you're going to see is the nozzle is going to go down. It's going to do a quick little reverse fill, which kind of would fill up the bottom with a little bit of fluid so there's not any air pockets. But you're going to see the nozzle is starting to raise higher than the fluid, which will cause an air pocket, so we know that we aren't filling fast enough at all. You could just see we're going to have a big gap there. So that was too shy. Just try to get all the water out of the stick. Okay. Set that there. Okay, so that was too shy. Now we're going to overfill. So I'm going to put this guy to like 8. So I got a fill volume of 8. And I can actually use this foot pedal down here. That way I could hold this with my hand. So push the foot pedal. It's going to do my quick reverse fill, quick fill there at the beginning so there's no air pockets. And now you're going to see the water's kind of, it's way up here, way higher than the nozzle, which means it's going to overfill. And we don't want that either, especially when we are dealing with honey. So shoot, that was too much. But you did see that reverse fill there kind of sucked a lot of it back. But, we kind of got a mess here. If this was honey, it'd get all sticky. So, now I'll kind of show you a good one, and we'll actually kind of fine-tune it in here. What I'm going to do is set this. Actually, I'm just going to save this program real quick as none. Save, just to reopen my other one. So if I need to, let me just reopen this other program. So I'm going to open that bad one. Okay, now I'm going to reopen mine so I get my variables back. So 7.5. So 7.5 should work pretty good, but we'll kind of see. Had a little bit more water in the bottom of there. Okay, so I got 7.5. I'm going to go ahead and hit my foot pedal here. That way I kind of have my hand over it. Be careful, this is a moving part, so keep your hand out of the way of the nozzle. Alright, but you can kind of see we're maybe a 1/4 inch above the nozzle. Actually, we're still a little high there, so we might have to drop it a little bit more than 7.5. Yeah, looks like it. So 7.5 looks like it's just a little much too. Alrighty. So we're just going to drop a little bit more. I'm going to probably go to, I don't know, we'll do let's do 7 and see what happens. So, okay, here we go. We're on 7. So you can see we're still about 1 inch above the nozzle, but it is dropping, so we're getting a little better. We'll probably go 6.8, and that should be pretty good. We'll see here. Alright. Actually, we'll do 6.5. This is basically kind of how you dial it in. Depending on your heat you have your honey at, kind of will determine the viscosity, which then determines how much you need your pump to run. Alright, so that's getting better. You can see we're just maybe 1/4 of an inch above. It's usually at the start it might climb a little bit more, but that's starting to look pretty good there. Yep, there we go. So there's a good fill. Let's go ahead and run one more here. Then I am kind of, oops, I could just hit the foot pedal, used to the matrix fillers. This pump is kind of a little oversized for this micro dose, so it might be a little off, but when you run your honey, the more the pump runs, the more accurate it gets. That's why we use this bigger pump. But you just kind of want that fluid just trailing that nozzle kind of like that. That way you don't get any air pockets. Everything's just nice and good. And you can kind of see at the end here, see that's why it was a little off, just because of this pump's trying to microdose or not run very much. But you can see at the end there, the nozzle kind of scooted up out of the way of the fluid. Let's run one more. The next one's going to probably be right where the last one was, just because of those rollers. You'll kind of see that up nozzle clearance, we call it. Mostly it's used to clear bottles, but it also will help with this. You can use it, you don't have to use it, but it's kind of more up to you and your process. So it stops and then jumps a little out of the way. So there you go. So that's kind of how you run this honey filler. If you got any questions on it, please let us know. And yeah, there you go. It can also work for, small vials, stuff like that. We would change the pump to a smaller pump if it is a super low viscosity to get a little bit more accurate if you do try microdosing, stuff like that. But there you go. Any questions, let us know at www.rockymountainplc.com. Thank you.